She can look sexy in a tube. She likes snowstorms and golden light. If you love, she'll love you.
To bring it home? Who's ready to vote for change? You gotta show up and vote, all of you. Well, Canada, here we are, in a crucial time where we must decide whether we're going to elect for a fourth time a Liberal government. The same team, the same Liberal team who has weakened our economy, left us with unaffordable housing, rising crime, and vulnerable in the face of the threats of Donald Trump, or are we going to elect a conservative government who's going to put Canada first for a change? Is that the pleb? My husband began this journey 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, when he decided to run for the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. Ever since, he has been traveling from coast to coast to coast so that he can step away from the Ottawa bubble and the elite, be on the ground, and to listen Canadians directly. Because what we need is a government and a leader of the people, by the people. Leadership is not born in the boardroom of the elite. Leadership is not born from fancy titles and degrees. Leadership is born from the love of our country, true patriotism, our true North strong and free. And yes, my husband has dedicated most of his adult life for this. He has been right here at home, fighting for our youth, our families, our seniors, for all of us, and that is something honorable. So while Mr. Carney looks down on my husband's career path and tells him that he doesn't know how the world works, I'll tell you what. He knows how Canada works and how to make it work for all of us. Not for the tax dodgers. Now, I truly love all of my husband's policies. But to really understand the why and why we're doing this, you have to understand and to know the man behind these policies and the family. My husband was born from a teenage mother in Calgary who gave him out for adoption to 2 school teachers. His parents worked really hard. They're from Saskatchewan. His mother was a substitute teacher, and they lived paycheck to paycheck. Later on in life, Marlene and Dawn lost everything due to skyrocketing interest. Pierre was taught that nothing was handed out to you, that you truly have to work hard for everything, and that's been his career path. My family immigrated here in Canada in 1995. I was born in Caracas, Venezuela, and I was 8 years old when we came here. We immigrated in the east end of Montreal, and it was 6 of us in a small basement apartment. My father's first job was to collect fruits and vegetables, because that's all he could do. We didn't speak the language. Later on, he had 3 minimum wage jobs at once so that he can help and feed our family. By the time that I was 17, I had moved out of home and become 100% financially independent. It wasn't easy. When I turned 19, I packed up my suitcase by myself, left Montreal, moved to Ottawa, took a student loan. I didn't know anyone in Ottawa, and I didn't speak English back then. I took a student loan and put myself through university at the same time that I had to work full-time so that I could pay for rent and food. When I turned 25, working in the Senate at this point and graduated, I had saved enough money to put a down payment on a little 2-bedroom townhouse in the east end of Ottawa. I had saved $25,000 and bought a little townhouse for $230,000, a little 2-bedroom. That, ladies and gentlemen, that was in 2012, 3 years before the Liberal government took office. And that was the Canadian promise. If you work hard, you can get ahead and you can make it in this country. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what the Poilievre stand for. That's what we are fighting for, to restore the Canadian promise. So it is my pleasure to stand by my husband's side in this fight and with all of you. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, my husband, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Pierre Poilievre.
Something brand new about it. Yeah, you'll leave and you'll miss it, then come back and kiss it. You'll travel the distance, we're so proud of it. We fight for what's right, we're wild and we're free from the mountains above us. And all you can see is more than just a place with freedom. It's all
Kitchener, Waterloo, who's going to vote for a change? Who's going to vote to axe some taxes? Who's going to vote to build some homes you can actually afford? Who's going to vote to stop the crime for a change? And who's going to vote to put Canada first for a change? And we have just the team to do it. Look at the incredible, patriotic, local roster of candidates who are fighting for this community and all of our country and ready to bring a change across the land. We've got Matt Strauss, Connie Cody, Doug Trevlevin, Kelly DeRitter, Gervir Kara, Wasim Botros, and Leanne Rood. Give it up for the Change team. What an incredible crowd we have here. How many people are here for a change? And why is everybody here? We want a change. We need a change for Canada. He's got the Team Canada jersey on there. That's a very good reason to be here. Give it up for this guy. And we need a change now more than ever here in this incredible entrepreneurial community. One of the most inventive, innovative, entrepreneurial places anywhere on planet Earth. Over with the farmers, the engineers, the tradespeople. This is literally, yeah, the tradespeople are always... This is one of the greatest entrepreneurial and technological centers anywhere in the world. With people like these, we can reverse the lost Liberal decade and make Canada the richest country on earth for a change. But it has been a hard 10 years, has it not? Yep. Everything costs more. We've had the worst inflation in 4 decades, and it's back on the rise again. Housing costs have more than doubled. In fact, you can actually buy a castle in Scotland or Sweden for lower than the cost of a house in Kitchener. That's a true story. Homes have gone up 50% faster in Canada than in the US, and they cost 50% more, despite the fact that Americans have more land, have less land, more people, and more money. Somehow they pay significantly less for their homes. Canada has the second slowest building permits in the world, stopping our incredible entrepreneurs and workers from building things. The economy has been shrinking for 10 long years, well before the tariffs ever struck. In fact, we've had the worst economic growth under the Liberals of any G7 country. $500 billion has left our country and headed south. Shootings, gang killings, overdose deaths overtake our once safe communities. And now, with all the rising costs and crime and an economy falling under America's thumb, these Liberals think they deserve a 4th term in power. What do you think? That's the choice. Either we're going to have a 4th term of Liberals, or we will vote for a change to elect a new Conservative government to axe taxes, build homes, unleash our economy, and put Canada first. C'est ça le choix. Après la décennie perdue, des coûts et la criminalité qui augmente, une économie qui tombe sur la dépendance des Américains, est-ce qu'on va les élire pour un 4e mandat ou est-ce qu'il faut choisir un nouveau gouvernement pour faire changement en coupant les taxes et impôts, en libérant nos ressources, en bâtissant les maisons pour nos jeunes et en mettant le Canada d'abord pour faire changement? C'est ça le choix. Now, the people of Kitchener-Waterloo work hard. They put in long hours. They put their shoulder to the wheel. They sacrifice to raise their kids. They scrimp and save and cut their budgets daily to try and find a way to pay their bills. Connie Cody was telling me many of these people have been in Cambridge have been crying on her shoulder, telling stories of how stressed they and their families are, just trying to make ends meet. It's time that we put those people first for a change. It's time that we became a country that rewarded hard work. Now, right now, Canada is a country that punishes work. It's this fine you pay for the crime of working hard, income tax. The more you work, the more you pay. I love this meme. They have this kid who's crying in a park on his dad's shoulder. He just asked his dad, what is an income tax for? And dad says it's the same as your report card, except the opposite. The harder you work, the worse you do. And right now, Canadians spend more on taxes, liberal taxes, than they do on food, clothing, and shelter combined. The average family tax bill has gone up $10,000 in 10 years. This after they promised they would cut middle-class taxes. We know we can never count on Liberals to tell the truth. They never met a tax they wouldn't hike. But we as Conservatives believe something different. We believe that a dollar left in the hands of the person who earned it is always more productive than in the hands of the politician or bureaucrat who taxed it. And that's why I'm announcing that a Canada First Conservative government will cut income tax by 15% so your hard work pays off for a change. Give you money. 20%. Jeez, is this an auction or what? An auctioneer here? Can I get a 25? Can I get a 25 out of there? That's how we're going to pay off the national debt. We'll turn this into an auction hall. I only promise the things I can deliver. That's the truth. You know what I mean? We do the math. You will hold me to it, and I will be held to it, and we'll get it done. Because we did it before, and we'll do it again. I love you too. Thank you very much. I appreciate you backing me up. And I also love our auto workers, and I want to encourage Canadians to buy Canadian-made automobiles. That's why our government will remove the GST from Canadian-made cars and trucks. And then there's the carbon tax. Now, the Liberals want you to forget all about the carbon tax. They brought it in place. For 7 years, they charged it to you. They told you that the whole planet would go up in flames if you didn't pay more to fill up your minivan. They literally said anybody who was against the carbon tax was an arsonist. These were their words. And then Mark Carney, he did have one disagreement. He said that the carbon tax Trudeau put in was not high enough. It needed to go even higher. And then 28 days before the election, they hid it from the gas pump in the hope that you would forget about it for long enough to give them the fourth term so that they can put the tax back in place higher than ever before, and this time without a rebate. What's worse is Mr. Carney is also promising to increase the carbon tax on Canadian industry. This is one area where he and Trump share something in common. Both of them want to tax Canadian industries. Trump with tariffs, Carney with carbon taxes. I want neither. And that is why I will put Canada first for a change, and I will axe the tax for everyone, for everything, for good, for real, for a change. We will axe a lot of taxes, in fact. And here in this community, we have a lot of high-tech companies, but many of them have struggled to stay in this country. The Liberals give these handouts to foreign multinationals to develop IP, intellectual property, and inventions, and as soon as those things become profitable, those companies take the money out of Canada. The high income tax often drives our young graduates from Waterloo to leave our country for the States. So we get all the costs and the Americans get all the benefit. Meanwhile, we have very high taxes on investment. So somebody takes a risk, they mortgage their house, try to start up a risky high-tech company that will create a breakthrough for our economy. And what happens? They get punished for it with high capital gains tax. Many try to avoid paying the tax by just holding on to an old, sleepy asset rather than selling it to invest in something newer and better and more exciting for our economy. This is the lock-in effect, and it holds back our tech sector in Kitchener-Waterloo. We've lost $500 billion of net investment to the United States in the lost Liberal decade. I want to bring it back home, and that's why I've announced the Canada First reinvestment tax cut. Zero capital gains if you reinvest all the money right here in Canada. This will be like economic rocket fuel, propelling our economy forward, encouraging people to invest in home building, new technologies, factories, assembly lines, conveyor belts, CNC machines, heavy equipment, the stuff that the machines, the tools and technology that it takes to generate high-paying jobs for our people. We want to bring that investment back home, and we want to favor Canadian investment. You know, today we learned that Mark Carney's company has been stashing its cash in the Cayman Islands. Now, we already knew about Bermuda. Now there's a second place. And so while he advised Trudeau to raise taxes on all of you, as Trudeau's economic advisor, he was stashing his corporate cash out of reach from Canadians. A Conservative government will put you and our country first. We will crack down on offshore tax havens to force everyone to pay their fair share so you can pay less. Mr. Carney's Liberal model works for the elites. They get rich by making you poor. They pay less and make you pay more. No wonder housing has become so unaffordable. You know, housing costs have literally doubled under the Liberals. Double the rent, double the needed down payment, double the mortgage payment required to own the average home. Housing costs have increased faster in Canada than in any other G7 country. Toronto, well, it's the entire Liberal gang, though. It's the same Liberal MPs, same Liberal ministers, same Liberal strategists making the same Liberal promises. They're all accountable for what they've done to housing. And now, after doubling housing costs, Mark Carney is doubling down on the same promises Trudeau made on housing, building fantastical new bureaucracies in Ottawa that they claim are going to magically build government-run housing factories that will then provide you with a government home that you can be a tenant in. We don't want that. We want Canadians to have the dream of home ownership. But what's standing in the way? Why is housing so much more expensive here in Canada, given that we have so much land to build on? The answer is government. A third of the cost of every new home today in Ontario is direct taxes. Roughly another third is indirect government costs, delays, permitting, zoning, consultants, lawyers, lobbyists, and countless other expenses that all get passed on to the home buyer. So, my plan is to axe taxes, cut red tape, and build homes. And that means starting by axing the federal sales tax on new homes to save you up to $65,000. But we're not stopping there. We know that municipal taxes are very high. The government has been rewarding municipalities who jack up these taxes and block homes from being built. I'll do precisely the opposite. I will require municipalities speed up permits, free up land, and cut development charges as a condition of getting federal infrastructure money. But there's more. That's the stick. If they don't permit 15% more home building per year, then I will be rolling back their federal money. The bureaucrats will then be getting paid the way home builders and real estate agents get paid, per home, right? So that will incentivize them to speed it up. But I'll also offer a carrot. And here's my commitment to all the municipalities. For every dollar you cut in building taxes, I will reimburse 50 cents from the federal government, with the goal of bringing down the total tax burden on each new home by $100,000 so that you can afford a place to live for a change. So the choice in the next election, after rising costs for food and homes, is whether the Liberals deserve a fourth term or whether it's time for a change to elect a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, build homes, and deliver an affordable life for all of you. That's the choice in this election for a change. You know, the great Bob Stanfield said we have to stop stopping and start starting in this country. And that's what we have to do, not just with housing, but with our resources. We have the third biggest supply of oil, the first biggest supply of uranium, the biggest supply of potash, the biggest oceanic coastline in all of the world. We have the fifth biggest supply of lithium. We have so many resources that we should easily be the richest people in the world, but the Liberals want to leave it in the ground. Mark Carney actually said 80% of our oil will have to stay in the ground. The Liberals brought in C-69, the no development law that means it now takes 17 years to get a mine approved. That's the second slowest in the OECD, 3 times as long as it is in the US and in the UK. Meanwhile, they blocked 2 major pipelines, and not a single one of the 18 proposed natural gas liquefaction plants has actually been completed. The only one that's close was approved by the earlier Conservative government. That is why our wealth is leaving, and that is why we are now so hopelessly dependent on the Americans. We have to give them all our resources, and often at massive discounts. It's time for a change, my friends. That is why we will pass the Bring Home Our Jobs plan. Here's how it will work. We will repeal the No Development Law, C-69, and replace it with a new law. Oh, lights out. I think it's because the Liberal energy policy is so bad we have no more electricity. We're surviving on a generator. So, anyway, did someone want to take a nap or something? I didn't put you to sleep. Oh, there we are. Let there be light. There we go. There we go. Let there be light. Well, listen, the reality is that we have the ability, if we repeal this law, to approve major projects within 6 months so that we can have, by the way, I'm going to be granting a permit to unlock the Ring of Fire right here in Ontario. We'll help build the road to get there. We'll also approve natural gas liquefaction plants to liquefy our gas, ship it overseas. Instead of giving it to the Americans for a third of the overseas price, we'll sell it to the Asians, sell it to the Europeans, break the world's dependency on dirty dictators, and turn dollars for dictators into paychecks for our people in this country. Then there's the production cap. It's actually a cut. They want to cut the amount of oil and gas Canada can produce while allowing the Americans to produce as much as they want. Once again, handicapping our own economy and putting our people at a disadvantage. I will get rid of the production cap, and I will replace it with something better. It's called the shovel-ready zones. These will be areas where we will draw a big circle around territories that are appropriate for nuclear plants, pipelines, mines, LNG plants, data centers, factories, and we will give the permits out before anyone even applies for them. So businesses can show up, get to work, get building with the fastest building permits in the world. we're going to cut the federal red tape, the number of rules imposed by the federal government on our small businesses by 25%. And we'll impose a rule that says that every time the government brings in a new rule, they have to get rid of 2 existing ones, so that over time the red tape will melt away and we will only have the regulations we truly need to protect our environment and our public safety. But we need to bring home these jobs, but if we have these jobs in Canada, we need people who know how to do them. And right now, we're putting everything, all of our eggs in the university and white-collar basket. Now, I've got nothing wrong with university. I loved my time there. I benefited greatly from it, and I encourage everyone who wants to go to go. But we have to give equal support to the trades. We need boots, not suits. We have any trades workers here? Any trades workers? Wow, the trades are out big time, eh? I love it. I love it when I see these guys coming straight from work. This guy, look at him, straight from work, eh? I love it. It's beautiful. What do you do, sir? Truck driver. Give it up for the truckers. If you got it, a truck brought it, right? That's how it works. You can't. What do we got over here? What's this? We got a hard hat over there. What do you? He's a home builder. We need more like that. Fantastic. Looking good. But what trade are you? You can't be all the trades. I know you build houses, but are you a carpenter? You're a framer. Okay, that's important. You can't have a house without a frame. It'll come crashing down pretty quick. That's for, what else do we got over here? She's an aluminum, you're an aluminum roofer. All right, you know where to get your aluminum roofing products. This young lady. Incredible. These are brilliant people. But the problem is, if you, well, we got one more over here. What do we got? This guy. Heavy machinery operator? And this gentleman here? And you, sir? All right, heavy machinery and flooring and drywall. Give them a round of applause. The trades workers. We're going to partner with our unions and with our employers on 350,000 training places to get our young people into apprenticeships. We're going to bring back the $4,000 apprenticeship grant. And that's not all. We're going to bring tax fairness. Our traveling trades workers can only write off $4,000 when they travel across the country. Some of them do 20 or 30 of these big trips every single year, and they can't write off more than $4,000. Meanwhile, the CEOs can write off the full cost of their private jets. This is not fair. That's why we're going to pass the Tax Fairness for Traveling Trades Workers Act, allowing you to write off the full cost of your food, transportation, accommodation to go from one job to the next. And I'm going to give a present, a big, beautiful gift to every high school principal. They're going to show up at work one day, and there's going to be a box the size of this stage. And when they open the box, they're going to find a module for every licensed trade so that they can get their teenage students started learning a trade well before they even get their high school diploma. It's going to be amazing. And so the choice in this election is, after the lost Liberal decade of driving jobs away and resources, keeping them in the ground, whether we should give the Liberals a fourth term or whether it's time for a change to train up our youth, to get our resources to market and bring home our jobs. But we want these jobs to be in safe neighborhoods. So we have to stop the crime for a change. Yep. Is there any crime here? Yeah. Out of control. Catch and release criminal justice. Not a week goes by that I don't meet a grieving family member or someone who has been personally violated or victimized And almost every single time, it's by someone who was released on early bail or parole. The good news is we don't have a lot of criminals in Canada. The bad news is they're very productive. A small group of criminals do almost all the crime because they're released almost the same day that they're arrested. Police officers will tell you they often arrest the same person 3 times in a day. In Vancouver, they had to arrest the same 40 offenders 6,000 times. That's 150 arrests per offender per year. These guys basically have to be doing crime all day, every day. It's like a full-time job. And you know, this is hard work. You got to be up at this crack of dawn, robbing a bank, selling fentanyl by 2 in the afternoon, stealing a car by 4, if you're going to be in jail every 2 days. And these guys aren't unionized, they have no benefits, they do get housing. They stay at the Hotel California. They check out, but they never really leave, right? That's how it works for the criminals in Canada today. This is the result of the Liberal law C-75, which requires judges release criminals at the, quote, earliest opportunity under, quote, the least onerous conditions. So the judges have no choice but to put them back on the street. And then there's Liberal Bill C-5, which allows house arrest. So if you've stolen 100 cars, you can serve your sentences at home, watching Netflix, or playing Grand Theft Auto. And then there's Liberal Bill C-83, which allowed Paul Bernardo out of a maximum security penitentiary into a medium security penitentiary with relative freedom. My friends, we cannot afford and we cannot risk a 4th Liberal term of catch and release chaos. What we need is to stop the crime for a change with a real Conservative plan. And I'm about to tell you what it is. 1, we will repeal the catch and release laws C-75, house arrest law C-5, the Paul Bernardo get out of jail free card bill C-83, gone, gone, and gone. We will bring in mandatory jail time for human traffickers and for gun smugglers, life sentences. We will also pass a 3 strikes you're out law. Here's how it works. 3 serious offenses, you're never again eligible for bail, parole, probation, or house arrest. You have a minimum of 10 years and a maximum life sentence. 3 strikes, you're out. 3 strikes and you're out. That is how it will work. We will lock up the most serious offenders. Now, the Liberals say, well, you have to build all these jails to accommodate them. Well, actually, it might surprise you to learn this, but the last time we did a big crime crackdown like this was under Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Yeah, great guy. Terrific man. And guess what? Crime went down by 25%. But you know what else went down? The number of people in jail. Now, you might say, well, how does that add up? More tougher sentences, wouldn't that mean more people in jail? What actually happened was, first of all, the repeat offenders, they're in and out all day anyway. So you have to reserve a room for them. Right now. What we're changing is that they're just not going to be going out from that revolving door because it's going to be turned into an iron gate. But more than that, the small-time offenders, the ones just getting into a life of crime, they do the math. They figure out real quick that it's not worth getting caught because they're going to be in jail for a very long time. So you know what? They go out and do something else with their lives. That's how you reduce crime. You deter it. It works. It's proven. And then there's the drugs. Brutal. You have a drug problem here? Yeah. What is it? Is it fentanyl? Meth? What's that? Second worst region for violent crime, says Connie Cody. Well, The reason is that these drugs are extremely powerful. You think of fentanyl. It takes 2 milligrams to kill a person with fentanyl. It's almost like a grain of sugar, and you can stop someone's lungs. And it is 100 times more addictive than heroin. When I was a kid growing up, I was terrified of heroin. Our parents scared the hell out of us. Heroin's the worst thing you could ever imagine. This stuff is 100 times worse than heroin, just to put it into perspective. People got hooked on it because pharmaceutical companies mass-marketed opioids as a safe way to relieve pain and feel better. They profited in the billions, even though they knew they were killing people. And now the government's policy is to perpetuate their profits and everyone else's misery by paying for what they call a safe supply of hydromorphone, giving out opioids to the population, which then gets resold to kids, and the profits used to buy more dangerous fentanyl. Meanwhile, they got rid of mandatory prison sentences for mass marketers and producers of these drugs, so they keep getting out on the streets. And finally, 99% of shipping containers don't get any inspection at all, so it's very easy to get it into Canada. There's no way Mark Carney will ever stand up against the Chinese government, which is allowing these ingredients to come here because, of course, his company owes $250 million to a Chinese state-backed bank. We need someone who will stand up for our people and put an end to this chaos. We will ban the hard drugs, stop giving out tax-funded opioids. We will bring in life sentences for anyone who sells more than 40 milligrams of fentanyl. And we will redirect the funds to treatment and recovery, rehabilitation. We know it works. Places like the Oak Foundation or the Harvest House in both Ottawa and in Moncton, where they take young people off the streets, give them detox, counseling, group therapy, physical exercise, yoga, job placements, transitional housing, reconnect them with their families, get them back on their feet and turn their lives around. I had a chance to meet with some of these incredible recovering addicts. And I've sat down with them in Moncton and I said, first of all, there's one thing you need to know about yourself. You have a superpower because you have gone from the bottom of the valley and you're getting back up to the top of the mountain. And when you meet people in your future travels, they will never be as strong as you are. They will never have overcome what you overcame. And what I need from you is I'm here to ask you for a favor, I said. I need you to get better so that you can go out on the street and reach down and grab someone who's lying on the pavement, pick them up, give them a chance to turn their life around so that they can do the same thing. And one by one, we can end this crisis and save our brothers, our sisters, our friends, and our neighbors. And we will sue every pharmaceutical company that profited off this disaster to make them pay for the treatment and recovery. We lost 50,000 people to this crisis. We are going to offer treatment in their honor to 50,000 survivors. This is how we turn things around, my friends. A real plan to get people back on their feet and become contributing, productive members of our society. We have to start focusing on providing hope rather than attacking our own citizens. You know, for example, let's take the border. As I said, they only inspect 1% of the shipping containers. No wonder so many drugs, guns, stolen cars, and worse come in and out of our country. We're going to secure these incredible high-powered scanners that look right into the shipping container to figure out what's inside. I'm just a simple boy from the prairies, but I've got this idea. So imagine this. You've got a manifest that says that in the shipping container are widgets. But then you look at the scanner that the Polyev government has bought you, and it shows that it's a beamer. Say, oh, maybe we should pull that box aside. And you pull the car out, you call the guy who's matched to the VIN, you say, were you planning to send your Beamer to Turkey today? And he will say, no, I got up this morning and my Beamer was missing from the driveway, so I couldn't go to work. Well, we've got it over at the Port of Montreal. You can come pick it up, and we're going to go to the house of the guy who booked the shipping container and say, you're under arrest. You have a right to remain silent. Pretty simple idea. I don't know. We're going to remove high-priced consultants and back-office bureaucrats and put the money into frontline 2,000 more CBSA officers to protect our borders, watchtowers to scan the frontier, and keep us safe. And you know how we're going to pay for that? Thank you very much. This guy makes some really wonderful suggestions, eh? What a character. What a character. You know, I had a different idea that I think is going to be even more popular, and that is to reverse the wasteful, multi-billion-dollar gun grab that targets our hunters and our sport shooters. And make no mistake, spread the message far and wide. If the Liberals get back in, all your hunting rifles will be banned. Carney was out there again today, reiterating that he wants to target licensed, law-abiding, trained, and tested firearms owners, the hunters. He doesn't understand that it's not Grandpa Joe's hunting rifle that's shooting up our downtown communities. I want to protect Canadians from criminals. The Liberals want to protect turkeys from hunters. We need to protect Canadians from turkeys as well, I think. But the reality is, if you've got a possession and acquisition license, anybody got a pal? Any pals in the room? These are the law-abiding people. If you're going to rob a bank, you don't stop to get a gun license on the way to do it. Every single one of you who put up your hand, you're vetted by the RCMP, you've gone through extensive training, you have to do safe storage, there you go, the police database system checks you every single night. Why would we waste billions of dollars of tax money and countless hours of police time going after the good people? Let's go after the bad guys for a change. Let's put the criminals in jail. And let's keep our country and our borders safe. But to be a safe and strong country, we have to rebuild the great Canadian Armed Forces. Any veterans in the hall tonight? Yes, give it up for our veterans, everybody. Way to go, guys. We will reinvest and reinvigorate our military. We will fill the vacancies, up the recruitment by giving our young people a reason to join again. We will rearm our forces and restate and clarify their mission. We will buy 4 massive Arctic icebreakers to reclaim the control of our icy northern waters from the Russians and the Chinese. Poseidon aircraft will be flying over those waters, looking down and detecting, and if necessary, destroying foreign vessels that are in our waters. We will have fighter jets, new runways. We'll double the size of the 1st Patrol of the Canadian Arctic Rangers, our eyes and ears on the ground. And we will build the first Northern Arctic base in Canada since the Cold War, CFB Iqaluit. And our military will be guided by a warrior culture, not a woke culture. They will pass that warrior culture down to the cadets, who will also be expanded, so we can get our young people learning about service, punctuality, outdoor survivalism, riflery, and countless other skills that only can be passed down from the older generation to the next. This is a great way to bring our people together in a spirit of unity and service to our country. We will unite our people from across all backgrounds, and we will fix the broken immigration system that the Liberals have ruined over the lost Liberal decade. They've been pursuing this idea called the Century Initiative, which seeks to increase our population to 100 million people. And if you want an idea of what that kind of massive, uncontrolled increase in population looks like, look at the chaos that has happened in the Kitchener-Waterloo region as a result of the massive fraud that the Liberals have encouraged in the international student program. Now, let's be clear. These are good kids. They were just coming here because they did what the government told them to do. Most of them are hardworking, decent people. But you can't add people 4 times faster than you add homes for very long, or pretty quick, you're going to run out of places for people to live. Same with jobs and health care. So we will go back to having the best immigration system in the world. We will reject the Century Initiative entirely, and we will cap immigration so that our population never outgrows homes, health care, and jobs. And we're going to uphold our history. We need to have a common sense of where we came from, because if you don't know where you're coming from, you'll never figure out where you're going. If you don't understand history, you're condemned to repeat it. Our young people should be encouraged to celebrate all the great things about this country. Sure, we have an imperfect past, but we don't fix that by tearing it all down. We need to keep our statues high, and we should add new statues for the unsung heroes. We need to recognize, now more than ever, the vision of an East-West nation called Canada that was dreamt up and brought into existence by the great John A. Macdonald, our first Prime Minister. And not only that, we need to bring back the heroes of history. Terry Fox, the famous 5, our veterans, to the Canadian passport. So I got a question for all of you. Are you all going to show up and vote for this change? Are you going to tell your neighbors and your family to vote for this hope and this change? You're going to vote to bring back the Canadian promise. You're going to vote for the hope of a better life for your kids. You're going to vote for the future to be brighter than the past, to turn the page on the dark, lost Liberal decade, so that we can once again be a self-reliant, sovereign people that stands on its own 2 feet, where we trade with each other, build homes for our youth, honor our past, protect our borders, stand up for the vulnerable, and look forward with optimism under our proud Canadian flag. We are a nation, not of tax collectors and toll masters, of gatekeepers and grandees, of rulers and rule makers. No, we are a nation of entrepreneurs and explorers, of artists and adventurers, of workers and warriors, of pioneers and patriots. What binds us together is the Canadian promise that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful, affordable home on a safe street, protected by brave troops under a proud flag for a change. Canada first, let's bring it home!